8 plus 3, 2 then 7. Shri Mati, Kali, Uwati, Mutmawu, Shri Chandi, Peace Queen, Heaven in the Green, Serpentine back to spiraling.
I just had to play that song because I love that song. That's Soleil.
Love team back to finding who we be morphologically unique, cosmologically.
Just wanted to play a little bit of that. I wanted to talk about Bird Box. I know everybody is like, oh, I'm tired of Bird Box. Everybody's got something to say about Bird Box. But what I wanted to say about Bird Box is that from my point of view, I feel like it has to do with religion and how I'm no longer religious. I think Bird Box had to do with us staying blind. That a lot of times, we've come into the world thinking that if we're not living, I say Christian because that's what I've been under. So I mean, it's up under any religion though. That we're gonna go to hell, or if we live good, then we'll go to heaven. And on Bird Box, I noticed with the blindfold, I feel like the blindfold, it has to do with life, because as long as we feel like, if we stay blind, it's like people becoming addicted to things. They take drugs or going to church and all this stuff. If you stay blind to it, then you don't have to face what's actually in your face. You don't have to face what's actually in your face. I noticed that everybody didn't die. And as I was looking at it, it seemed like Sandra Bullock, she played a part as Mallory. Mallory was, nonchalant. She was a realist. She didn't think she really was gonna be able to bond with this baby. It was just like, whatever. And it is what it is. A realist. But her sister ended up getting infected. And I think it's fear. The blindfold, everything on the other side of the blindfold represents fear. And that's what we've been taught. That's what I've been taught all my life. She did that closer to the end with the kids. She forced them by telling them, this is what's finna happen. You're finna do this, you're gonna do this, it's gonna be scary, but we've got to do this. And we push fear in people. We preach fear. And that's something that we've got to get over, is fear. Because as long as we allow fear to control our lives, it's gonna stop us. And I can say that because I've always, been scared, because I think it passed down to me from my father, because my father, he's kind of a fearful type person, but he's a pastor, and I've spoken to him about it. I even used to give, even pass the scriptures, to the pastor about fear, because in the scripture it says that we have not been given a spirit of fear. But that's what we have been taught, even coming over here for slavery. That's what they used to keep us in control, was fear. And it's the same thing that's happening with religion. So I feel like, the ones that killed themselves, I believe that once they took the blindfold off and they killed themselves, that it was like, okay, if I face my fears, some people can't handle facing their fears. Like on the movie, they quote, you can't handle the truth. So a lot of people can't handle their fears. And if they keep the blindfold on, then the blindfold protects them from their fears. But if the blindfold comes off, then they've got to face them. And you're either going it's gonna either be too hard for you to deal with, or you're gonna deal with it and make the best of it. And I feel like the ones that it didn't affect, that it didn't cause them to commit suicide, they handled it. They handled what they seen. It seemed like they were crazy. The ones that didn't commit suicide and were able to take the blindfold off. It seemed like they were crazy, and that's something that I've been dealing with since I've so-called woke up. That's the term that everybody's using. Woke up or becoming conscious. That's been one of the things is people seem it. If I feel like people think that me and a couple of my friends that we're crazy. Something has happened. Something happened in church. It caused us to have church hurt. Um, Mine. People thought my husband. I done let my husband talk me into not going to church, and it's just been crazy. And I feel like that's what was happening. They were looking at them like they were the crazy ones, when in fact the ones that were keeping the blindfolds on, they were the ones actually crazy because they weren't opening their eyes to see what was in front of them and being strong enough that they could handle what was in front of them. I noticed like when all of them were in the car and they ran over somebody, it was a body, and Tommy hurried up and said, "Oh, it was just a speed bump. It was just a speed bump." And that's what we get led with, with fairy tale stories that, well, if you live your life right, you'll go to heaven and you'll get to go see your mom, or you get to go be with your dad, or you get to go be with your child, and all. As long as we get being fed something that's gonna make us feel good, like when they went to the store, and the store, which for one thing, when they when one of them ran into the pillar, that was the first thing he says, pillar. And I was like, okay, there's something about the pillar. Well, pillars of religion is poverty. Um, I wrote it down, but I didn't bring my notes with me. Is poverty and I think maybe fear or something like that. But those are things that religion has used to keep people in control. By keeping them poor, by putting things in the scripture telling you that, like the rich man, it was going to be hard for him to go to heaven. So what does it mean? You're not going to push so hard to be rich if you think that you're not going to get it to heaven. Now, it makes sense. And then once they were in the store, they was just, some of them, they was just like, this is the best place, the happiest place in the world. Because as long as we're surrounded by what makes us happy, then it's the happiest place in the world. And we never look out, and we never empathize and put ourselves in other people's shoes and see other people's point of views because we got our blindfolds on. The bird, at first I couldn't understand that, but birds are known, they've been known in ancient times to be animals of wisdom, that they can see all, and that probably come from the fact that they can fly so high. And then you got birds like eagles and vultures that are very big winged birds that can fly high and see everything. So that would make sense. And those birds, it was like truth and wisdom. She kept it in the box until they got to the other place where they really weren't needed because they were already blind. There was a school for the blind, and they had the birds there, but he said that they really didn't. They would tell them sometimes when some was coming around, but they really didn't need it. They was just hanging on to some truth there that they knew there was there, but they was keeping them there. Um, Rail, I feel like Rail sacrificed himself, the one that had brought the truth, that had the truth, and then they hurried up and made it not very important when he said that he had got his information from the internet. So all of us out here that are studying by using the internet because we don't have access to big libraries, or you don't have the money to be buying a whole bunch of different books. A lot of us we're gaining a lot of our knowledge from the internet and from YouTube, and I'm thankful for that. But they made little of it. Like, oh, and you mean that's where you get? They're thinking he should have went to college somewhere And if he had gone to college, he would have never learned that. He never would have learned that. They never would have taught it. He would have had to get that information on his own. But then he decided when it came time for the guy that was in the freezer, he made the sacrifice. He sacrificed himself and he went in head first. And that's what he did. He made the choice that he was going to face his fears. He was going to face his fears without his blindfold instead of staying there and staying blind to everything. I think that's what my main thing that I got out of it. And it's a lesson that we need to realize that the ones of us out here that are trying to spread the truth about religion, we're not crazy. This is information that we have read, we have studied, we have listened. I've been in church. I was in church all my life. My father is a pastor. I've always been in church. That was my goal, was to live saved one day, be married, live saved, raise my family as a Christian household, but none of that worked out. I went to church. I was going to church, and I was very serious, and that's what caused me to want to search for God, search for the purest form of God. I just feel like it was something about the book. That book, God, that's not the God that I wanted to serve. That guy was about fighting and killing and murdering and stealing and raping. No, 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 no. So I'm gonna make this short. This is my first video. I don't even know how it's gonna turn out, but thanks for listening.